All right. Well, if that's working, that's amazing. Thank you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are going to talk tonight about secrets of online marketing, things that we learned while we were at a mastermind teaching event over the weekend. We didn't want to keep that to ourselves. So who are we and why should we give out information? Well, first of all, introducing my husband, David. He's a pastor. He was a pastor for 34 years. He got his PhD in biblical interpretation, and he's published 2 books. He loves to play guitar. I think he's amazing. He's very humble, but he also teaches. And I come from a background of 30 years as a paralegal, working in all different areas of the law, helping people at, the real hard times. Anytime you have to work with an attorney, you know that that's not your favorite time of your life. So that was my blessing to help folks there. Plus, I'm a musician too, and I teach piano on the side. Together, we have 4 grown children living all around the country and world, plus 2 adorable little grandchildren. And 2 years ago, David came to me and said, hey, we could work another 6 or 8 years, or we could retire to Mexico. Well, it didn't take me long to make that decision, and you can see what that was. We retired in October 2016 and moved here to Mexico. About the time we started our retirement transition, we started blogging and sharing with others what we were learning about the marketing business, and also what we were learning in the transition, both in retirement and learning a new language. So we've learned a lot from trial and error over the last couple of years, and we are just so excited to share it with all of you. So as you get started in business, you might, like us, have probably encountered all kinds of different problems. Where do you find your leads? That's been a huge struggle for us in the past. And sometimes we even got desperate and had to buy them, and then they didn't go anywhere, and we have nothing really to show for that. And so talking to people and just having a hard time getting them to sign up. Why is that happening? I start to doubt myself. And then when you get people that sound super interested about your opportunity, then they turn around and buy from someone else. I still can't understand that, but it hurts when that happens. And finally, a lot of us may have more product in store than we encountered or wanted, so we're paying more for the product than we've ever made in sales. Well, you probably have your very own issue that you're struggling with, but these are some of the things that we have really had a hard time with.
Well, what we want to show you tonight is that online marketing really is simple. It's simple, and we'll give you a formula for exactly how to go about doing it. It's 3 parts. First, build an audience. Second, engage your audience. And third, sell to your audience. It seems very simple. On the other hand, it's not easy, and we'll show you why. When you start out thinking, for example, of that first part, build your audience. Well, are you going to build on email, or on your Facebook profile, on a Facebook business page, on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Google+, or any of the other places online that you can build an audience today?
Wow, there are so many choices.
There are a lot of choices. And then when it comes to engaging with them, if you have learned how to build an audience in one or more of these places, how will you engage with them? By emails, by posts, for example, on Facebook, or by commenting on other posts, by using Facebook Messenger, or sending direct messages in other platforms? Will you be using the phone? And if so, how do you get phone numbers? Will you be using Zoom? Or will you be following people in hopes that they return that they reach out to you? Those are just a few of the possibilities for engaging people online. And then when it comes to selling, are you simply inviting people to take a look at something? Are you making an offer yourself, or are you presenting someone else's offer? Are you sending out links or selling over the phone or by Zoom or by webinars? How are you following up? There's just so many possibilities that many people get lost just learning the technical skills for a number of these without ever finding themselves being successful.
So we found that it's best to keep it simple. Keep it simple, and to keep it simple, we're going to focus just on one audience, and that's a word of wisdom for everyone, to pick just one of those audiences that he listed under the build, and we're picking Facebook. That's
not that you can't do others later.
No, exactly, but tonight's webinar and what we learned on this weekend was Facebook.
Yep.
So let's not complicate things. David's going to go over and we're going to share our Facebook page, because we want to show you exactly what we mean. And if it's something you've done or haven't done, it might be something you want to make note to do in the future. So first thing I would have you go is on settings. David, if you would show us where settings is there.
Okay, you click on this little triangle in the upper right corner, go down the list to settings, and that takes you right over here.
All right, and so on the settings, different things that you have available where you can change your password and that sort of thing. Under privacy, that's the important one. You're going to want to make sure you're public. You know, yeah, you might want to, share some friends and family things that are more private. Well, you can do that on a case-by-case basis, but in general, you're a business and you're open for business. So check that your privacy there is set to public. All right. What do we got there? His little screen is so hard for me to see. I apologize.
You also want to make sure that who can contact me and who can look me up are set to everyone so that people can get a hold of you if they need to. Then if we go to timeline and tagging, who can post on your timeline? That's something you can keep to yourself if you want to, or perhaps have your friends. You do want to be careful about having people post on your timeline something that wouldn't be appropriate for your audience. You want to make sure that that you can see what, or that everyone can see what they post, that that everyone can see the posts that you're tagged in and so on. But down here, you want to make sure that you review the posts that you're tagged in and review the tags people add to your posts before those appear on Facebook.
And when that does happen, you will get a little notification on your profile that you have issues that you need to deal with. I didn't know that at first, and I had this little number, red number growing, and I didn't know what that was, and that I missed out on some really cool posts that I was tagged in showing up on my timeline at the right time. So that was something I wanted to pass around. All right, so there are some other settings, but those are the main ones. You want to make sure that you're visible.
Let's go back to my profile.
Another important thing is to look at your profile picture and your cover. Your profile picture should be your face. It should be you smiling. It shouldn't be a flower, although flowers are nice. It should be your face. That is something that's super important. If you're wanting to do business with someone, you're not showing them a flower. You're out there greeting them with your face. And then when it comes to that cover photo, some folks would say, oh, make sure you're in that picture, or make sure that picture symbolizes you in some way. A lot of people these days are having a really pretty background and they're putting a really inspirational quote there. Folks in business sometimes will even use the opportunity to put our email or our website address somehow in that cover photo. The options are great there, but the important thing is to make it look happy, make it colorful, and and inviting.
And then when we go down to this introduction, it should say something about you and what you're up to so that people have an idea of what your mission is. And when you go to the About tab, they should be able to, again, learn something about you. When I go to an About tab and find that it's completely empty, it makes me wonder if that's a legitimate profile or whether this is a professional or someone that's just using this for personal purposes.
Right, because our profile we can use for personal, but we can use it for business. And so what you are showing the world is your best foot forward, and you want that to speak well for you. If you slide down, David, scroll down a little bit here to the first photo collage that you see. Well, those are pictures that you have control over. I never knew that. I saw pictures there, but I didn't know I could pick the pictures I picked there. So make sure the ones you have there are ones that you want people to see, that represent you well. You scroll down a little bit more where you see the photos, and it's usually a block of 9 pictures. Facebook has picked those pictures, and I'm sorry, I don't know that anybody really quite knows how those get picked. So if you have any information on that, let me know. But Facebook will pick those pictures and put those there for you. You can go in, show them how you were doing that over the weekend.
Well, you can, for example, go in and take a look at them and hide
that one.
A given photo if you don't want that to appear.
If by clicking up at the top there, allowed on timeline, if he didn't want that one, he would just click, and then that would, we don't want that one. We like that picture out there.
Well, I'll hide it from the timeline because there were 2 of them.
Oh, were there 2 of them? Okay,
yeah.
Good catch. So that you can hide them. And oh, they picked in another one. Probably because we both had. Anyway, it's interesting how Facebook will do things, and we don't really know how and why. And Facebook is changing all the time. All right, one thing to remember when you're working on Facebook, you're branding yourself. You want to not brand your company. You know, your company can come and go, but you are there forever, and you may choose, different things that you want to do. So you always want to make sure when you're putting things on Facebook, you're branding yourself and not your product. There's a little bit of a homework assignment I'd like you to take a note of before I go on here. I'd like you to look at the last 10 posts you've posted on Facebook. And just see what people are seeing. What is the message you're conveying? Or do the people feel like they know you a little bit from those posts? Maybe just a little?
One of the things that we were surprised about, or I was a little bit, is the idea that when people look at the last 4 or 5 or more posts, they've got a story in their mind and a picture in their mind of what you're like. Well, you've got some control over that. How do they see you? How do you want them to see you?
And that should control what you post. So, do they know your message and mission from the things that you are posting? Do they see you as an influencer? Do they see you as someone of authority? Would they say when they see your post, wow, I could really use their help? It's important to get rid of everything that doesn't represent you well. Did you put something out there that you wouldn't want your grandma to see, for instance?
Or your boss to see if you're still working.
That's true. And most important, remove any spam. That's one thing I did right away. I was spamming my friends, and I am so embarrassed to this day for how much spamming I did early on in my business.
Okay. So if we don't want to post things that people will regard as spam, what do we want to post? Well, we want our posts to be intentional. We want them to be things that attract people to us. So this is what we call passive marketing because it really depends on them seeing your post, whether they go to your page or your post just happens to be one of the ones that Facebook decides to put on their timeline. Some of the kind of posts that we find most attractive are ones that have to do with your lifestyle, that present you as having a fun life. Maybe showing you out to eat or out in a park or
on vacation,
having a great time together. Or motivational. And one of the things that we've all seen is motivational quotes that people put out on the timeline. Although one of the hints that we heard is when you put out a quote from someone else, it's great to add something to that and say this, to make a comment and say this is something that's important to me because, and say a little bit about what it means to you.
And also, don't fill your timeline with just motivational. That we heard was kind of the indication of a
lazy marketer.
So yeah, they're great, but don't fill your timeline with them.
Stories. You're good at writing stories and putting them out on our timeline.
Well, I'm working on it. Stories are what sell. When you can bring someone in on your story, that is what you are telling them who you are. You're increasing your know, like, and trust factor. And when they can identify with you, that's golden.
And then curiosity. One of the things you want to do is to provoke curiosity, to inspire in people that feeling that, hey, I'd like to know more about this. What are they up to? So that's what we call passive marketing, using intentional folks to attract people to you. On the other hand, and while you're doing that, I guess one of the things we learned is that it's important to post every day, and they suggest 2 or 3 times spread out through the day. If you post a couple of things in rapid succession, Facebook has to decide which one they're going to show to people.
And they'll show the first one more likely than the second.
Then we go to what we might refer to as active networking. That is, you go out and intentionally find people on Facebook and then take a look at their profile and say, is this the kind of person that might have an interest in what I'm doing? And then simply follow them. They suggest following rather than friending as a start. And as you do that, one of the important factors is to know your own vibe. So if someone looks at your profile, they'll probably notice the things that you're passionate about, maybe some of your hobbies, your skills, what area of industry you're in, and so on. And you're most likely to attract people that share something in common with you. So one of the things that I do when I look out at other people's profiles is look, what do we have in common? And I'll look at, well, where are they from? Or what kind of job do they have? Or do they comment on a band that I like? Or, it could be anything. But if you have something in common, it's always a good place to start a conversation. Now, how do you find these people? Well, one place to look is at Facebook suggestions. And always take time to take a look at their profile. And sometimes I'll look at a suggestion Facebook makes and I'll have, I can't figure out any reason why they suggested them. Other times I'll look at that and say, boy, we've got multiple things in common that would make for a good place to start a relationship. You can also search. Go right up to the top of Facebook and type in people who like, and put in something that you are passionate about, or the area, maybe it's people who like health and wellness, and you you start searching for people who like or fitness or a paleo diet or something. Another way is to go into groups. Facebook has groups for, it seems like, just about everything. And if you search and then go up to the tab that says groups, you can find a group that has to do with something that you're interested in, and then look for people in that group, see what they are posting or what they're commenting, and respond to them. Or you could go to fan pages, otherwise known as business pages. A lot of times people will go to business leaders in their particular industry and begin by following people in that industry. Or they go to some of their own friends and see who are their friends.
And you could also go to those fan pages and start commenting on other people's questions. It's quite, possible that that important person isn't going to get to every single question or comment on his posts. So you can help him out.
Mm-hmm. Well, Dana, how do we begin engaging with people?
Well, we learned a couple of great tips this weekend, and one is to spend 10-15 minutes engaging, liking posts, commenting on posts. And the important thing is to do that before you make your own post. So if you spend that short bit of time engaging on folks that are already in your audience, that's going to increase your visibility when you post your post. Facebook's pretty sneaky.
So if I post on, say, 10 or comment on or like 5 or 10 different people's posts, it's likely, not for sure, but likely that Facebook will choose them as the ones to show my post to.
Exactly. So if you have targets in mind, keep that in mind where you're spending that 10 to 15 minutes. Another tip too is to follow at least 10 people a day. Now, follow is different than friending, and if you have any questions with that, just let me know. But there's a follow button that shows up on people's, if you hover over them, over their name, you'll see if they have a follow button. 10 a day minimum, and especially if they have common friends with you. That is huge. A follow may often result in them friending you. We have unlimited number of followers, but we do have only a limited number of friends. So that's why that becomes important. People that don't know that follow, can't believe how many people don't have follow buttons. That's something you set in settings. And again, be working on a goal of friending 5 to 10 new people per day, and no more. Facebook will know that. They don't want that to go. That's why following, you can do that in an unlimited number, but friending people, and engage immediately. If you ask for someone to be your friend, engage with them. What that will do is increase, your likelihood of getting new friends and Facebook and new customers, new.
So if you send a friend request, the best thing then is to like or comment on a few things on their profile, and then send them a direct message and say, this is, I noticed this and this about your profile. That's something we have in common, and I thought I'd reach out and begin a conversation.
Or even a little bit more, conversational than that. Hey, I see you like birds. What's your favorite bird?
Well, one of the things that we realized as we began to go through our notes is that we had much more than we would be able to share in one webinar, especially with Zoom's initial limits. But so this is just the beginning, what we've covered here tonight so far. But it's also the part that most beginners to online marketing miss, and the reason that they fail. See, one of the basic things to know about marketing is that people buy from people they know, like, and trust. And so if you approach people online and immediately try to sell them something, and you haven't taken any time to build a relationship, in all likelihood, you're not going to be making sales. And people may even block you. People want to buy, or people most frequently buy from people that they know, like, and trust. So it's important to take time to build that audience and to engage with the audience before you try to sell to them. Now, Facebook also has rules. They don't want you selling on your profile page. As far as they're concerned, that's the purpose of a business page or a fan page. But if you begin a relationship with people on your profile, you're certainly allowed to then take it to a conversation offline, whether it's on Facebook Messenger or by phone or any other way, which is where that you can make your sale. Now, I have to admit, as Dana already alluded to, like most beginners, we did I'd even say most of the wrong things that people do when they get started. And what made a big difference for us is when we found the training, the tools, and the community that we really needed to succeed. There's a lot of things that we needed that we didn't even realize we were missing at the beginning.
Exactly.
To begin, we discovered that we needed to brand ourselves and to build a blog. We needed to be able to build a mail list, an email list, and integrate an autoresponder and build funnels.
We didn't even know what that meant.
We needed a customer relations manager. At least as we began to get leads and follow up with them, we needed a way to manage our contact information and notes and schedule follow-ups and send emails.
And I love to organize things, so that was critical.
We needed training from people who already knew how to do it, from people who were already proficient in the skills that we were learning. We needed a community where we could ask questions and find answers, encouragement, and support. We needed lead magnets, something of value that we could give away free to capture leads while we were learning. Now we've got to the place where we're building our own lead magnets, but at the beginning we had no idea what they even were, much less how to make one that was worth anything or of interest to people. And we needed a way to make money from the 90% or more who would say no to our primary offer, who weren't interested in a new business opportunity themselves, but would love to learn online marketing and become more effective in what they were already doing. So what we found was an attraction marketing system called MLSP, or My Lead System Pro. And that system provides every single need
in that last list.
In that list.
Yeah. And then some.
Yeah. So what we have to offer in that regard is, if you're interested, there's a 10-day trial, and the link's on the screen. It's only $10, and if you don't find it helpful to you, you can cancel within those 10 days and ask for your $10 back. Or if you stay in, you'll go on to the regular 30-day plan. On the other hand, you may be interested in joining the 30-day plan right away. That link's also on screen. It costs $150 a month, but is refundable. Again, anytime during that 30 days, if you say it's not for you, you can get your full $150 back.
I think a lot of people go on that second option just because 10 days, that goes really fast. And the 30 days gives you a lot more, opportunity to see the value and get the most out of this tool.
Plus,
bonus.
Dana and I have put together a getting started guide to help people so you don't get lost in MLSP, so you know how to take things a step at a time.
It can be overwhelming. We fell into the overwhelm trap, so we don't want others to do what we did.
It took us a while to get going.
Yeah.
We'd also add a 30-minute coaching call with either of us. Plus, for a limited time, our own mentors have authorized to offer access to their Facebook chat group. And what we love about that is when we get stuck on something and have a question, we can put the question out there and get answers very quickly.
Very quickly. It's a great community. There are a lot of people in that chat. Sometimes I think people are just sitting there doing chat all day.
Plus, they've also said that we can offer access to their weekly group coaching webinar.
Seriously? That is a huge bonus.
And I'm going to say that pretty soon they're going to have to withdraw that authorization and just
or have a second coaching call.
Right, but for right now they've allowed us to add people to that, and that's a place where you can go and ask your questions, and Todd or Leah will walk you through exactly how to do what you're working on.
Exactly.
So that's the end of what we have to offer for you tonight. I hope you found value in what we've shared, and that you'll join us in MLSP if that's something that will work for you.